Zombie boy. Hey, John.
Where are we going first?
To eat.
Oh.
Room.
Okay.
Then stick your head in it and blow your brains out.
Someone's always there.
Come on, everybody up here.
You'd be able to put a roof on the house with those leaves.
Get in there, you're going to be right with the fight.
Yeah. Eric, take notes for a school project.
Hi, Michelle.
I don't know if it'll come out. I am taking a picture of it.
Over Gettysburg. Might be in the mountains.
Here, look at this mistletoe. Too bad my wife didn't come. I could kiss her underneath the mistletoe. Go ahead. Come on. Blow a kiss to your mom. Nobody's looking. It's a monument just to the people from New York that died in the war. There's a big tree for you. Eastern hemlock. Just like the hemlocks by us. Look how big that is around. It's so tall I got lightning rod at the top of it. Big tree. Nice hairdo.
Amazing how many different kind of guns they have.
Yeah.
Look, you got a stone in that one.
Yeah. Well, the bullet goes down the barrel. That's what they mean by muzzle loaders. You load it from the muzzle.
I made that one. Just look at it.
Wait.
I'll sit in the net. It is hot. Close. Done.
Napoleon was a very effective weapon, the most widely used artillery piece on both sides of the Civil War. A good gun crew can fire 4 aimed shots a minute with an opponent, but it takes, under ideal conditions, 10 men to do it. 2 men, the highest ranking, are full-time observers. 1, a committee.
The aerial cam shot. From the Goodyear blimp.
Dead horse. Officer down. That's the Confederates coming. Cemetery. Here we just were in the cemetery.
Yep.
Well, they all mentioned that.
The monuments aren't there.
Yeah. Not yet.
Oh, look at those people.
if they can set them right next to their souvenirs.
Mr. Woods, where are we going after this?
You right now? It's all right.
I don't know if we're gonna get this in there.
I think what you got behind you is really a good thing to get. The way the map's sectioned up.
Yeah. Oh, hi. Okay, we got some stuff for you.
Did you get that?
So the Union is the blue and the gray is the Confederate. The ladies of the blue and gray. Did you see that in town?
Did you want that chair in the way?
Here, Eric, give me your thing and I'll
Ladies
shorthand
of the
it.
blue and the gray.
Shorthand this, just in case.
Yeah. I didn't memorize it.
I thought there was more.
Right.
It began on June 3rd after the Confederate victory at Chancellorsville, Virginia. For over a month after Chancellorsville, the Union and Confederate armies faced each other across the Rappahannock River at Fredericksburg, Virginia. During that month, Confederate President Jefferson Davis and his commanding general, Robert E. Lee, decided upon an offensive move against the North, an invasion of their enemy's own territory by the Confederate Army. On June 3, 1863, the Confederate Army begins its invasion, marching west, then north toward the Shenandoah Valley, a natural pathway which leads directly into Pennsylvania. The valley, with its thickly wooded mountains and few gaps, would provide the Southern Army protection from the prying eyes of enemy cavalry. On June 9th, in a swift dawn attack, Union cavalry under General Alfred Pleasonton surprises Confederate cavalry leader Jeb Stuart at Brandy Station. The opening battle of the campaign lasts most of the day and ends with the Union troopers retiring. It was the largest cavalry battle ever on the North American continent. As the Confederates make their way along the Shenandoah Valley, the Union Army begins to follow cautiously. Their main aim is to keep between the invading Confederates and the capital of the North, Washington, D.C. On June 14th, the advanced Confederate units drive Milroy's Union Army out of Winchester, Virginia. The valley is now clear for the remainder of the Confederate Army. On the 15th and 16th of June, Confederates crossed the Potomac River singing "Maryland, My Maryland." Spirits in the Southern ranks have never been higher. Sharp cavalry fights occur at Aldie, Middleburg, and Upperville, Virginia on June 17th, 19th, and 21st. The Union cavalry would like to seize the gaps and peer down into the advancing Confederate columns to gather information. But for now, Jeb Stuart does his job by holding them at bay. The Southern Army is on Northern soil. For the first time in the war, they cross the Mason-Dixon line into Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, Jeb Stuart begins a ride around the rear of the Union Army that leaves General Lee without his eyes and ears, as he's called his cavalry, at the crucial moment in the campaign. Stuart has orders to swing east of the Shenandoah Valley and meet the advanced Confederate infantry in Pennsylvania. Instead of remaining between the enemy and the Confederate Army in the valley, he finds his way blocked by Union infantry and so decides to take his fast-moving cavalry around the enemy. But at Rockville, Stuart captures 125 wagons loaded with provisions bound for the Union Army. Good fortune at any other time, but merely an encumbrance now. He reaches Sykesville in twice the time it normally would have taken him, and so it is with the rest of his march to Gettysburg. The Union Army begins crossing the Potomac at Leesburg on the 25th and 26th of June. The men hear rumors that the Confederates have invaded Pennsylvania. In fact, the Confederates at this moment are passing through a little crossroads town that most of them have never heard of before, but all will never forget: Gettysburg.
northwards approach Harrisburg, the capital of Pennsylvania, the panic among the citizenry increases. Confederate General Gordon's advance takes Southern troops all the way to Wrightsville on the Susquehanna River. In forced marches during incredibly hot days, Union infantry reach Frederick and Westminster, Maryland. Without Jeb Stuart to tell him where the Union Army is, General Lee fears a surprise attack while his units are scattered and orders a concentration near Cashtown, where he'd prefer to fight with his back close to the mountain retreat routes. General Meade, who took over the command of the Union Army just 2 days before, would rather fight farther south, closer to Washington. Instead, on the night of June 30th, Union cavalry advances to the ridges just west of the little town of Gettysburg and bivouacs within sight of thousands of Confederate campfires flickering ominously just a few miles away. The stage is set for battle.
Yes. How much was it? Oh, well, yeah.
There is a camera on the bus, so you must behave.
Huh?
Yeah.
You're busted. Belong to somebody
Hi,
special.
Shelley.
Security cameras.
These seats are kind of comfortable.
You just
whose 1st Army Corps was camped a few miles south of here, requesting an infantry backup if today's contact proved to be more than just a foraging expedition. And by the survey at this hour, this morning, a major battle there is going to be. Now, General Heath, whose brigades are advancing over that prominent rise, knows that cavalry is not likely to sustain a position on this ridge for any length of time, especially when confronted with brigade battle formations. So General Heath conjectured that he could just push the cavalry off this ridge, march into Gettysburg, gather up the supplies the invading army needed, and dispense them to the quartermasters. However, General Heath is unaware of 2 very important facts. First, the cavalry soldiers on this ridge are equipped with the new Spencer 7-shot repeating carbines that can fire about 15 rounds before a good rifleman has the ability to answer with 2 mini balls from his regular musket. Second, and most importantly, General...
And while there's a lull in the fighting, this is a good place for you to see what's going on. This is the extreme right flank of the Union line. Just behind us, in a few minutes, it's going to be hit from the north by a division of Confederate infantry. It's General Robert Rhodes' division just getting here from Carlisle.
Is there anything I can do for you? Well, you're a general.
I'm General Barlow, and I fear I'm dying. My wife is a nurse in town with the Army Field Hospital. Would you be so kind as to bring her here? God, I love her, and I want her with me at my end.
Yes, General, anything. You 2 men there. Now here, take my kerchief as a flag of truce. Go on into town and find Mrs. Barlow. She's a nurse with the Union Army Hospital. Now you bring her here. Her husband is mortally wounded.
If I knew for sure what was east of the Baltimore Road, I'd consider it. But I don't know. What I do know is George Meade. He isn't going to make any mistakes. He'll take advantage of any that I make. General Ewell?
Yes, sir. I respect what you said, General Longstreet. But, General Lee, we can take Hotel and cover the right flank. And General Longstreet's boys can take the left flank.
I don't have enough men, and I don't want to go into battle with only one boot on.
And so it was that the debate continued until it was finally resolved by General Lee.
out of the way. Uh-oh. Thank you.
He lost his hat.
Off with his hat. Off with his hat. Double's dead.
Fighting hand to hand, and finally overcoming the regiment defending this position. They push through here for maybe 100 yards. A brigade of Vermonters form over there on the rise, take aim, and let loose a devastating fire into the attackers. In a few minutes, it's all over. The Confederate forces, severely mauled, begin to fall back. General Longstreet realizes that the attack has failed. He formally orders the retreat. Across this field where these brave men have charged, they return. Across this field where now lie 10,000 dead and wounded comrades and the hopes of General Robert E. Lee's Army of Northern Virginia. The Battle of Gettysburg is over. General Lee, like a shepherd gathering his flock, rode out.
First souvenir.
Let's go look to the holes you should explain.
Right? That bus route was great.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? I gotta get the aerial cam. The two basketball stars. The scoreboard is still blank. There's Mr. Pete, guarding the light switch. It's like a wedding reception for our breakfast. Right? Look at all the smiling faces.
Morning. Morning, Michelle. Michelle. Oh, we miss you. So well.
Careful, guys.
Hi, Mr. Watts.
Hello.
Okay, who's up for a big here? Who's up for a
Look at that.
So,
Yeah. And where would it be?
Look at that.
Look at Michelle. Look at all the good food.
Biscuits. Ooh. Can you hear it? Sizzling. Just smell that food.
Really?
And all the hungry faces.
Oh. Jason, are you eating? Come on, buddy.
Yeah, Jason.
I'm not sure you gotta eat, but.
Well, you gotta get up there and fill your plate.
Or otherwise you're gonna hear from your mama.
Hi. If it's on.
I'm gonna go.
Well.
Look at that. Already not to mess up his uniform.
Whom you see moving all about, swiftly converged upon the Confederates who had broken their line. The fighting was desperate, and the distance between the opposing forces was measured in yards. A Union major described the furious struggle.
The grove was fairly jammed with Pickett's men in all positions, lying and kneeling. Back from the edge were many standing and firing over those in front. Every foot of ground is occupied by men engaged in mortal combat, who are in every possible position that can be taken while under arms, or lying wounded or dead.
The Confederate position soon became hopeless. Too many had fallen, and too few remained to stand off the growing Union numbers. Resistance collapsed. Crowds of Confederates threw down their weapons and surrendered, to be hurried off to the rear like these in front.
Come on, off the rocks and stand.
God, let's get closer. We got big guys in the back, tall guys in the back, little guys in the front. They're coming. Come on, come on.
Big jagged rocks.
Okay. This is the Confederate, all the gray.
All over
Yeah,
here.
Longstreet was the general in charge of that.
Where is it right now? Where are we like right now?
Right here, see? It says here.
Oh.
You are here.
See the cannons facing toward the
Orchard right
the
there.
Confederates are all over there.
And they were up.
General
they were
Peach
up,
Orchard's
they were
over
up
here.
too. Well, they were here, but they tried to.
General.
I guess their thought process was.
This is the hill they tried to take, which is up there. Weren't they up there? And then they came down here.
Sickles was up there, he came down here. And then that guy Warren, who's got the statue up there, realized, right, there was no one there. And he sent the one guy up there, and then he got the 20th Maine to get up there. Just in time.
Colonel Little.
This group was up there. That group probably was getting up there. And they came down here. They were trying to come up the route to take that.
The troops that were fighting at Devil's Den. There you go.
Up to the hill. They pushed them back to Devil's Den. They were still at Devil's Den, and they went up to the hill.
I know what I'm talking about. No. I caught a level 40.
Okay. Now we're going to hike up the road to what they call Little Round Top.
No, I mean I caught it with the rod. Level 40 magic. I brought it up one level.
Next shot will be from the top of there, looking down into the wheat field, where we just came from here. Mike,
Add some blood to Bloody Run.
explain what it is.
It's a Bloody Creek. It was a
Yeah,
Bloody
this is
Creek.
Bloody Run Creek because of all of the soldiers that died in the Valley of Death here. Now we're heading up to Little Round Top.
Yeah.
This is from Little Round Top. Strategic Hill.
Michael went to
Yeah, I would have
Tower.
been. I think I see him. I think I see him. Hanging over the back edge.
Yep, that's
Yeah. Let's make our way over there. Come on, guys. We're heading over that way.
I was up there too. Hi! Hi! What
I don't know any of those guys.
It's a one way up, one way down.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Dad?
Okay, come on down.
It's a one way up, one way down. I said, if you get a chance sometime to do the Pennsylvania line, we're going to take right over.
Yeah, we're gonna go by Pickett's Church and then we'll stop over there on the way out.
That's a really neat mine.
Yeah, maybe right here. Unless you want to go more toward the middle. Okay.
That would be a neat one down.
All right, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We came from Pennsylvania Monument. Now we're up at Pickett's Charge. That's where the Confederate troops came up from out of those fields and got as close as these trees, which is what they call their high water mark. That's as close as they got to taking over Gettysburg. This is where they were stopped and ended the Battle of Gettysburg. Let's go walk up to the cannon lines.
The what?
The cannon lines. Okay, you can move.
Doubleday's division's in there.
Charging.
The troops are charging. Oh, pull the cannons.
They started out in those woods right there.
I was wondering if we could get the scouts, we could put them along the wall there. You know, Pickett's Charge.
Round them up.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah,
get
the
the
Seminary
scouts
Ridge
out
where
here.
they started from.
I want to get a picture with them one more time, so let's try to round them up. In a row, Anna.
Just tighten it up a hair, guys. Tighten it up just a hair, okay?
Want the flag? You're not gonna be able to be there for 20 years. Yeah, cool.
You got the. That's the wrong flag, though.
We got a
Go ahead, sure. Look at that. Beautiful.
Hey, guys, stand up a little bit. Come on, you're not